Addressing now the Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Masilo Pakwe, perhaps a look at your experiences on managing, maintenance and sustainability of water infrastructure.
For us, from the Lesotho Highlands Water Project, it is really about people. In our context within the basin, we recognize that this is a shared resource. It does not only belong to the Kingdom of Lesotho, but to other riparian states. And therefore, there's a lot of issues around governance in there, working together, collaboration, etc., with all the other partners. From our side, again, we regard this as a win-win situation where two countries closely living together looked at the water resources available to them, came together on a table and signed a deal which has been quoted as one of the models to follow, definitely. But coming on the infrastructure itself, I think what we regard as key in the whole process is sustainable use of those infrastructure. I lastly want to end on the issue of financing. I said financing can be a very expensive exercise. It needs deliberate care and management. One wants to, there are various models that we can look at in this forum here. Who actually ultimately pays for this infrastructure development and water? How do they pay and when do they pay? And of course, we'll demonstrate very briefly here how we manage this in the Lesotho Highlands Water Project. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you very much indeed. Some key issues coming out of your speech. Thank you very much indeed. We will be coming back to you at a later stage. But perhaps at this stage, a perspective from further afield, as we are now joined by Mr. Len Abrams of the World Bank, Senior Water Resources Specialist for Southern Africa.
I think over the past few years that there have been a range of developments on this continent in Africa as well as further afield in the whole question of development of infrastructure, particularly hydraulic infrastructure. We've seen the World Commission on Dams. I think we've been through a process of real close examination of some of the processes and procedures and activities which have gone on in previous years. And through that, and I think through also what has been going on in countries, at country level, in water departments, amongst stakeholders broadly, there has been over the past decade also a great move forward in terms of understanding of water resources and management and the development of legislation and policy, etc. Our concern, I think, is now the time to move on and to translate a lot of that experience and those developed understandings into action, into actual infrastructure, and begin to do this in a way where it integrates into the development of the economy as a whole.
We're very informal here. I've been allowed to address our guest speaker at the very end as Reggie. If I may ask you to please speak to us about mobilizing stakeholders towards infrastructure development.
it's a rather broad question, isn't it? First of all, if I can take the broader view, that first of all says that Africa has a multiplicity of shared river courses, 63 to be exact. River courses that are shared by 2 or more countries. Immediately, what that says to you is that on each river basin, you have principal stakeholders in the form of countries that need to be mobilized such that they work together and try and find common approaches to how to both develop and share the benefits of that water. Global Water Partnership as a multi-stakeholder platform is again a response to how to bring together all those sectors, all those organizations that are involved in the issue of water resources management. Recently, as recently as last year, I think last year August, this region, the SADC region and the East African region, organized a very important workshop that was a sequel or that followed up on the meeting and decisions taken by ministers of energy and water on how best to approach infrastructure, large infrastructure development, especially in hydropower generation. Now, very important outcomes came out of that meeting where the ministers undertook to ensure that in future, very strict adherence will be taken with regard to approaches to infrastructure development that took account of the environment, that took account of the human impacts of large infrastructure, and that ensured that to the extent possible, benefits of these infrastructure developments are shared. Now, this workshop that I'm talking about brought together professionals, civil society, government representatives, etc., to a meeting that then said, how do we take this forward? How do we ensure that the decisions of the ministers are implemented? And at the end of that, what came out of it was a realization that there needs to be a broad but intensive capacity development, especially capacity of civil society in terms of what it is, what role they have in the conception, planning, and implementation of these projects to ensure that their local concerns are taken into account, that we don't make mistakes that we made in the past where infrastructure was developed in spite, if you like, of the concerns of either the environment or the communities.
Thank you very much indeed. Are there any delegates who'd like to take this question any further?
It appears pretty clear that the issue is not lack of funds. I mean, my good European friend says, I've got a lot of them, but you're not asking for it. We have talked about the Global Adaptation Fund. Nobody really knows how it's going to work, but we know it's going to be a lot there. So the issue is not lack of funds. The World Bank and the other bank, that's with the South African Development Bank, are looking for good projects and so forth. So that is not the issue. So the issue seems to be getting our act together, banking on this opportunity to access this jointly. And here I think we are convened by the Global Water Partnership and SADC. There are mechanisms that are there to help facilitate and so forth. So it should be fairly easy, I would think, from this meeting to agree how do we then do that? How do we get some of these many projects under the, you can say, the banner of climate change, if you want to be tactical about it, brought forward to our Europeans and to others who have the funds.